In 1918, a serial killer terrorized New Orleans with an axe, targeting Italian grocers. He wrote letters claiming to be a demon from hell. His bizarre demand: only jazz music could save you from his deadly visits. New Orleans in 1918 was home to hard-working Italian immigrants running neighborhood grocery stores. Joseph and Catherine Maggio were among them. Living peacefully until the night of May 22nd changed everything forever. The first wave of attacks. The terror began on May 22, 1918, when Joseph and Catherine Maggio became the first victims of what would become known as the Axeman of New Orleans. The killer gained entry by chiseling out a panel from their back door, a method that would become his signature. Armed with an axe found on the property and a straight razor, he attacked the sleeping couple with brutal efficiency. Catherine died at the scene, her head nearly severed from her body. Joseph, though gravely wounded, survived long enough for his brothers to find him, but died shortly after. The savagery of the attack shocked the city. This was no ordinary crime of passion or robbery gone wrong. Just over a month later, on June 27th, the killer struck again. Louis Bezumer, a grocer of foreign birth, was discovered in a pool of blood behind his shop, alongside Harriet Lowe. Both survived initially, though Harriet's face remained permanently paralyzed. The case took a bizarre turn when Harriet's testimony kept changing. She first blamed a mixed-race attacker, then accused Bezumer himself of being a German spy. Secret compartments found in his belongings and foreign letters led to his arrest, though he was eventually acquitted after spending 9 months in prison. The attacks continued with frightening regularity. On August 5th, Anna Schneider, a pregnant young woman, was brutally attacked in her sleep, but miraculously survived with no memory of the incident. 2 days later, she gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Just 5 days after Schneider's attack, the killer claimed another victim, Joseph Romano, an elderly Italian gentleman. His nieces witnessed a fleeting figure vanishing into the darkness after finding Romano with his skull shattered. Despite making it through the night, Romano succumbed to his wounds 2 days later. Investigation and patterns. As newspaper columns filled with reports of the attacks, police found themselves overwhelmed with sightings and tips from terrified citizens claiming to have seen the killer or found axes in their gardens. Detective John D'Antonio theorized that the Axeman might be connected to similar murders from 7 years earlier, some attributed to disputed serial killer Clementine Baraba. A disturbing pattern emerged from the chaos. The victims were predominantly Italian grocers and their families, all attacked in the dead of night. The killer's method remained consistent, gaining entry through chiseled door panels using axes found on the victim's properties, though he also employed straight razors and blunt objects. Strangely, despite ransacking homes, nothing was ever stolen, ruling out robbery as a motive. The frequency of attacks on Italian shopkeepers suggested something beyond random violence. Some speculated about old-world vendettas from Sicily and Calabria, transported to America with the waves of immigrants. Others theorized mafia involvement. The Sicilian mafia had extended its influence into Italian quarters across American cities, extorting tribute from business owners. Could the Axeman be an enforcer, his bloody axe serving as a message written in blood? The 7-month gap following Romano's murder only deepened the mystery. The Cortimiglia tragedy. After months of silence, the Axeman returned with devastating force on March 10, 1919. The target was the Cortimiglia family, husband Charles, wife Rosie, and their young daughter Mary. The killer used his familiar method, removing a back door panel to gain access to their home on the corner of Jefferson Avenue and 2nd Street. Both Charles and Rosie suffered severe skull fractures but survived the attack. However, little Mary died almost instantly from a blow to the back of her neck while being cradled in her mother's arms. The death of an innocent child sent shockwaves through the community and marked a horrific escalation in the Axeman's brutality. The case took another twisted turn during the investigation. After recovering from her wounds, Rosie Cortimiglia pointed an accusing finger at father and son, Orlando and Frank Giordano. The pair had been first on the scene after the attack and had raised the alarm, but with few other leads, police arrested them both. The trial that followed was a sensation, with both men found guilty and Frank sentenced to death. Charles Cortimiglia vehemently disputed his wife's accusations, and the couple divorced soon after the trial ended. The Giordanos spent over a year in prison before Rosie sensationally recanted her testimony, admitting she had lied about their involvement. Some claimed jealousy motivated her false accusations. The Cortimiglias had leased a store from the wealthy Giordano family before losing it 4 months prior to the attack. Others believed she cracked under police pressure, held in a cell until she provided names. The Demon's Letter. On March 13, 1919, the Times-Picayune newspaper received a chilling letter that would become one of the most infamous communications in criminal history. Written in messy, deranged handwriting, the letter purported to be from the killer himself. Hell, March the 13th, 1919. Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible even as the ether that surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. The letter continued with supernatural claims and threats, but its most bizarre element was yet to come. The self-proclaimed demon made an extraordinary demand. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. The Axeman specified Tuesday night at exactly 12:15 a.m. as his next planned visit, promising to spare anyone playing jazz music. This macabre proposition had never been seen before. A serial killer demanding musical performances as protection against murder. The city's response was immediate and unprecedented. On the designated Tuesday night, New Orleans erupted in melody. Every cafe, tavern, and home echoed with jazz music. Bands played through the early hours, and incredibly, the Axeman did not strike. The letter's release marked a temporary period of peace, though the terror was far from over. Final attacks and justice. The jazz-induced reprieve proved temporary. The Axeman struck again, targeting grocer Steve Boca, who survived after regaining consciousness and stumbling into the street before collapsing from his head wounds. He recovered but could provide no useful details about his attacker. Next came teenager Sarah Lauman, discovered bloody and unconscious on her bed. The attacker had gained access through a window, and investigators found a bloodied axe nearby. The final canonical victim was Mike Pepitone, bludgeoned to death with an iron bar while sleeping beside his wife Esther. Blood spatters covered the walls and a painting of the Virgin Mary. Esther described the attacker as large, with some reports mentioning 2 men fleeing the scene. The case took its most dramatic turn in December 1920, when Esther Pepitone, who had since remarried, gunned down a man named Joseph Mumphrey in broad daylight. She claimed Mumphrey was the same man who had killed her late husband Mike, and was also responsible for the disappearance of her current husband, Angelo Albano. Was Joseph Mumphrey truly the Axeman of New Orleans? The question would never be definitively answered. Some viewed Esther's act as vigilante justice, a widow taking revenge for her husband's brutal murder. Others saw it as the desperate act of a woman driven to violence by grief and suspicion. The records provide no conclusive evidence either way, leaving Mumphrey's guilt or innocence as mysterious as the Axeman's true identity. Theories and legacy. Multiple theories emerged to explain the Axeman's identity and motives. The Mafia theory suggested he was an enforcer for the Black Hand, targeting Italian grocers who refused to pay protection money. The supernatural theory, promoted by the letter itself, claimed he was literally a demon from hell. Others believed he was simply a deranged drifter with a particular hatred for Italian immigrants. By 1921, the attacks had ceased entirely. The Axeman vanished into legend as mysteriously as he had appeared. Perhaps he died in some forgotten alley, or lived out his days in peace, content in having outwitted the law. Maybe Esther Pepitone's bullet found its intended target, ending the reign of terror with a widow's justice. The case remains officially unsolved, but its impact on New Orleans culture endures. The connection between jazz music and protection from evil became part of local folklore. Even today, when jazz echoes through the misty streets of the French Quarter, some wonder if it's merely entertainment or an echo of the night an entire city played for their lives. The Axeman of New Orleans remains one of America's most chilling, unsolved cases. What do you think? Demon, mafia, enforcer, or deranged killer? Share your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more mysterious true crime stories that will keep you awake at night.